Welcome to my new 2024 election prediction, so let's start. We're now 12 days away from election day and we can begin with Florida. And yes, this is my penultimate 2024 election prediction. And as you can see, in Florida, 538 has this by around 6%. I still think they're not being bullish enough on the GOP in this state. I still think there's a lot of people from throughout other various parts of the United States that have moved to Florida, and usually those people are quite right-wingish, so still think this is going to be, it could be a safe margin for sure. I wouldn't be surprised if Latinos do terrible for Democrats in Florida, but I'm gonna have this as a Trump win by guessing like 9 to 11%. And that's it for the likely states that could go into the safe margin category. Now for Maine, unfortunately, no new polls, so I'm gonna say it's probably gonna be a similar repeat to what we saw in 2020, so I'm guessing like Maine at large, probably like 8 to 10. Second district, probably like 6 to 8 or something like that. So yeah, barely any changes. And now we can move on to New Mexico. So New Mexico, this is one of the states that Harris is poised to do worse than Biden because of the Latino voters perhaps moving to the right of 2020. That is something that is quite possible. You got these polls right here. But I don't know, that's really the only reason why I have this by 7 to 9% and a drop off from 2020, because I expect her to do worse with Hispanics and for Trump to do better with Latinos, but even then, who knows what's going to happen. We can move on to Virginia, a state that the GOP is really putting a lot of money into, and not into the Senate race, but it looks like mainly to Donald Trump's 2024 campaign chances in here. So 7.1% according to them. Emerson, probably the best pollster here, has this by 7-ish, and I probably would say it's going to be around that margin. I don't think Harris is going to get the same Biden margin of 2020 by almost 10%, but she's not going to lose the state, I think. Early votes not looking amazing for Democrats, but yeah, like I said, I don't think she's going to lose Virginia, and I'm going to say 7 to 9% win for her in this state. And now to an easy state to talk about, so New Hampshire. We haven't seen any October surprises in the meantime, which I'm kind of surprised about. It's been kind of a bit too boring in this past few weeks. It's just talking about and looking at polls really, and yeah, no October surprise yet. Maybe we don't get one this year, but usually we do get some form of a surprise around the election time. But I wouldn't be surprised if we don't get it, because with Harris replacing Biden, maybe it really messed up their plan. But yeah, in New Hampshire, I think she's going to do quite well here. I know there's some people that say there's an anti-incumbency thing about New Hampshire, but I don't see that happening. Quite liberal state in many ways. The only thing is maybe they're a bit fiscally to the right, but even then, I think they're gonna value social issues more. In 2024, I think abortion is still a big issue, especially for women, and I think this is a 6 to 8% win for Harris here. So yeah. And now for Alaska, I know cost of living is also another big issue, but that's Trump really needs more. I think polls maybe are being too nice to him, and it feels almost like too good to be true for him. But yeah, we got these polls from Alaska Research showing Trump win by 8. I still think it's going to be to the right of 2020. Or it's going to be to the left of 2020. So her, with Harris campaigning with Liz Cheney and going to the center, just trying to look more neocon-like or appealing to neocons, I think that's going to help her. And she doesn't win her by it, but Trump wins here by 6 to 8. Similar margins for Texas. Let me go there. Interestingly enough, she's going to be the first Democrat to campaign in Texas this close to election day, but she's still on track to lose this state against Donald Trump easily. Got this poll from Emerson showing her losing by 7, but the main reason she's probably campaigning is just to talk about abortion, just to really get the turnout with women, and that's really her pathway to victory, just getting as many women to vote and talking about abortion January 6th and appealing to white voters, I think. But yeah, Trump wins here without an issue by 6 to 8. Iowa, we're still waiting on that Seltzer polls, which I'm really it's gonna be a very big factor into my final prediction. So yeah, I really can't wait. Should come out around Halloweenish. FYI, sadly no new poll, but just waiting on that one straight away. Iowa, I'm gonna put that by 6 to 8. For now, I might put that 7 to 9, but just from the vibes I'm getting and the fact that I'm really following my gut this time around, and unlike 2022, which I wish I did back then. Ohio 8.3 according to 538. I don't use RCP because they were awful in 2022. Unfortunately, no, not amazing polls in Ohio. So, I mean, who knows? Maybe Ohio goes to the right of Iowa in 2024 with Vance on the ticket. That'd be kind of neat to see, but yeah, that'd be kind of neat for once. Anyway, the 2nd district of Nebraska, it's really not looking good for Donald Trump. I know back in 2020, my first predictions, I had this either as a tussle, but it does look like Trump is struggling in suburban areas, and that, I mean, I'm not surprised. 2nd district, pretty much Harris easily wins here, and it's from Siena, New York Times too, so it's not looking good for Donald Trump. I think Harris does win by 9% in the 2nd district, but I think she wins here by 6 to 8, which is really impressive since this district did get redder from 2020 to 2024, and she's probably poised to win by around like 7ish. So yeah, pretty good margin for her. And now for Minnesota, Democrats are poised to easily win. I know there's some people that might think Minnesota could go red in 2024, but I don't think that's going to happen. Fortunately, we don't have really. The thing I don't like is that we don't have the ABC rating anymore, where you could slide the pollster. Fortunately, we don't have that. That really sucks because we got a lot of polls that literally before 2024 I haven't heard about. So I'm gonna guess it's gonna be like 5 to 7. Maybe it's gonna be more than 2020 because Tim Walz is on ticket, the governor of the state. But I'm gonna say it's easy a likely D victory for her by 5 to 7. And as you can see, that's it for the likely states. And now for the lean states. In North Carolina, we can easily go to that state. It's looking quite good for Donald Trump. I know that polls, for some reason, are still saying that Harris could win the state. It's not as bad as it was, like a month-ish ago. But now I think latest poll we got Atlas, but they're terrible at like state level. Quinnipiac, I mean, we actually don't have that many good pollsters, but I'm gonna say this for my gut, it's gonna be a repeat of 2020. I think maybe even more to the right because of lower voter turnout. I think that maybe is why Harris doesn't win the state. But yeah, still think that Trump's gonna do quite well with minorities. He's not gonna win the Black and Hispanic vote, but I think he's gonna chew into a decent percentage of the margins against Harris, and that's why he probably wins here by 2 to 4%. And for a big state, so for Michigan, this is really the state that is looking quite good for Democrats with the early ballots, and early voting's looking quite well. From what I've seen, Detroit and young voters are quite encouraged at voting 2024, so it doesn't look too good for Trump. And to be honest, if I was Trump, I would pull out from Michigan and just invest in Wisconsin or Pennsylvania. Quinnipiac polls that, I mean, we got these ones from Quinnipiac, but they were +3 last time they polled, so how can you trust that? Still, I'm going to go with my gut feeling. I know that she's not going to do as good as Biden 2020 because of the Muslim American vote. I still think it's going to be probably like 1.75% to 2% in 2024, since I still think that abortion is one of the main issues in 2024 alongside cost of living and so many more issues. But yeah, she wins this race. We can move down to Georgia, and this is one of the races that I'm going to make a rating switch from my last video. I looked at the early ballots, and it's not looking, early voting I should say, it's not looking too good for Democrats. They still need higher percentage of the black vote to turn out in order to have a chance of winning. And unlike 2020, it's not looking like they will achieve the numbers they need. It's gonna be very close to 2020 though. I don't think it's gonna be like 2016. But yeah, Donald Trump at the moment, I think 538 is probably spot on actually by 1.5%. I hope we get more polls because in this cycle we've barely gotten any high quality polls, and we're almost 10 days away from the election, which really pisses me off because they're just scared, and that's literally your main job to do, just poll. Jesus Christ, sorry for the rant, but yeah, Trump probably gets the last hurrah in Georgia, and I think he wins here by 1.25%, extremely close, and probably the last time we see a presidential candidate win in Georgia because the trends are looking awful for Republicans, and the black vote is going to get higher and higher, and that really gonna help Democrats in the future. But yeah, 1.25%. And now we're back to the we're gonna go into the tilt states now, and you can see it's extremely close. So for the state that I can maybe see it going to the lean category, I would say Arizona. It is also a bit tough. I wouldn't be surprised if we do see a polling miss in this state, because there's a lot of Republicans that are probably gonna vote Democrat. There are, old school conservatives, aka McCain Republicans, and maybe even though early ballots does show them voting more than Democrats, perhaps they're voting for Harris instead. They are registered Republicans. YouGov, barely any good pollsters, like I've said. I'm just going on gut at this point. Trafalgar by 2, that's a bit of a yikes, to be honest, since they're usually quite wrong. New York Times, we need more polls from them. But yeah, I think as of now, Trump doesn't win New Mexico. Sorry about that, but yeah. As I was saying, I think Trump is probably going to win in Arizona by, I'm guessing, like 0.75%. I think it's going to be very, very well become a lean state. But just in case a lot of those Republicans, or I should say just a minority of those Republicans that are voting early, are actually voting Harris, I'm gonna drop this into a tilt margin, unlike last video. So Georgia went from tilt to lean R in this video, and on the other side, Arizona went from lean R to tilt R. So yeah. And now for the neighboring state, for Nevada, and you should follow John Ralston. I know he likes to be a bit clickbaity at times with his articles on Twitter/X, which kind of, I get it. I do like to do clickbait thumbnails and titles. But yeah, as I was saying, you should follow him. He does know quite a lot, and like he said, this state in this race is a toss-up by all means, and I kind of get it. And like I said, almost 0 pollsters polling, which is amazing. Really makes this race so much better to. Anyway, I think Harris, because the Democrats consistently winning this state in the past, kind of like the opposite North Carolina, but for Democrats, or I should say Republicans, whatever. Still think she wins here. Still, she does terrible compared to previous Democrats. She doesn't win it by anywhere close to 2020, and I think it might be, I don't know. I think she wins here by 0.8%, so very close. Could maybe even go for Trump, but from my gut, following my gut's orders, I think she wins here by barely a lean margin in 2024. And now in the Rust Belt, as you can see, it all comes down to this. And let's begin. In Wisconsin, the average does say that it's going to be a 0.5% win for Harris. Although there's a lot of pollsters like, you got Atlas actually saying it's by 1. You got some pollsters like Emerson shit's going to be by 1. Then you got this from Quinnipiac from just a few weeks ago, just flopping around by like 5 percentages, so I don't even trust them. Still, I don't see the turnout for Donald Trump yet. I think he needs, if I was him, I wouldn't campaign in Colorado or Coachella in California or New York. He should just focus on the Rust Belt. I mean, I get it. He wants to campaign and help House Republicans, but still. Wisconsin, I have this going to Harris by 0.5% in 2024, so extremely close by all means. Could even go into the recount territory. Yeah, it's probably going to be even closer than 2020. Pennsylvania, and the deciding state in 2024, that is on 538, shows him winning by 0.2, which I kind of understand, but you got Trafalgar, so they're a bit right-leaning. They say Trump by 3. New York Times still, from a few weeks ago, says there's going to be a victory by a lean margin for Harris. And just going with my gut feeling, and I feel like polls are saying Trump is going to win, but I don't trust pollsters at all, and I'm going to go to the opposite way that pollsters do, because they're always wrong. And I think she wins here by 0.5%. Really close election. But I'm betting right now that abortion rights, whites, especially college graduates, and women voters really save Harris in 2024. It's still quite close. For my penultimate prediction, I have Harris winning with 276 electoral votes against Donald Trump's 262 electoral votes. Let me know what your map looks like. Feel free to leave a like, join the Discord, and the channel membership. And as always, have a good rest of your day, and have a good one. Bye.